Hey guys, it's Avenger, welcome back to the channel, and hello Christmas Eve. We are taking a look at the Roland Laborie CL215, which came out today. Now, there have been some mixed reviews, but I want to take a look at this for myself and see exactly what I think of this. This is an aircraft I have loved for a long time, so it's going to take a bit to please me. Now, we're flying, I believe, the Spanish... Oh no, this is the Canadian version, I should say. As you can see here, comes with 5 liveries, including a number of civil and government agency variants of the aircraft. Now, the 215 is, of course, a flying boat firefighting aircraft. Originally developed in the 60s, it was produced up until the 90s when the turboprop modernised version, the 415, came out. And even then, some 215s were upgraded with turboprops to still serve. Now, this aircraft is incredibly sturdy, can operate from water and land, obviously scoops on the water, and it's also could be used for search and rescue, freight, even passenger service technically, though it's not exactly designed for that sort of thing. It first flew in 1969, I believe. Now, in terms of its abilities as an aircraft, it can technically carry up to 26 passengers, in theory, and it has a maximum takeoff weight of 19,000 kilograms on land and 17,000 on water, which is pretty hefty. It runs 2 of the Pratt & Whitney R2800 engines, which are 18-cylinder air-cooled radial engines, producing 2,100 horsepower each. They are monsters. Now, this thing will cruise at about 157 knots, and it will stall at about 60 knots. So, huge wing, impressive abilities there, and those engines, I will tell you, are immensely powerful. Let's take a look outside first, actually. We'll do it in this camera. Now, the model is, I guess, a little on the simpler side, but it is a big aircraft, so I'll give them that. Now, the brakes is always one thing that I always like to look at to see what people think of the aircraft they're working on. Okay, not as detailed on the landing gear, but it is a big aircraft. Again, I'll give it that. Gear bays. It's decent, but it's nothing to write home about. The exterior does look a little flat, I'll give it that. And the texturing looks a little on the simple side. We have, of course, procedural crew, which, when you get close enough, that's just me entering the internal model. That's nothing to do with the aircraft itself. But you can see there they're wearing their rescue suits, or their high-vis suits for firefighting. What do the engine intakes look like? Okay, little simple there, photo texture on the cylinders. Again, for its size, that's not bad, but it's nothing to write home about. I'll give it that. I would have expected a bit more in this era of sim. So let's take a look around the cockpit. Now, I'm just going to use the hat switch to have a tour of it so it's a bit more stable for you. This could open. I won't open it because I have to shuffle over and adjust it if I do. Now, what is cool is we can hide the yoke, of course, and we can, if we go back outside, open the front and rear doors, including the ladders with the ground options of the aircraft, which is nice to have as a feature. I'll give it that. Always a nice little feature to have. Don't forget to close those before you do anything. Put the yoke back here. Now, the side windows from my initial quick test do not open. I just loaded the plane in, and then Flight Sim had a moment, so yeah, that happened. So we have that emergency water dump lever. We have got our water control panel, which I believe is on here. Okay, it is. And this is going to be our cowl flaps there. Those are oil flaps. Okay, this is the water control panel here. I believe that right there is our... No, those are trim indicators. There's meant to be a tank fill gauge somewhere. That's them right in front of us. Okay. And those are our water doors which are armed, which you can then press with E. I will say from what the manual says, this does come currently with stock effects from the sim, because the current sim had issues and broke custom effects. That's happened across a lot of aircraft, so nothing new there. That's our carb heat. It's a very rudimentary aircraft in here, actually, in terms of its operations. Textures-wise in the interior, it is not spectacular, but it's not bad either. Like, I could criticize a lot of things, and this isn't awful. And this will come into a factor of how critical I am, depending on how other things are in the aircraft. So, okay, that's on. Okay, we're set to both there. Now, I'm going to have to start this with literally my both engines at once, unfortunately, because of the nature of how I have all this set up on my yoke right now. We don't need no smoking on, that's fine. That is our anchor light and other lights we have in the aircraft there. Where's my fuel and is it on? Looking for tank selectors here. This is me seeing this for the first time, like a lot of you would be as well. So flaps are there. Controls are free and clear. Out, my leg's in the way of that side. Okay, that's, you know, my leg in the way. Where are my tank selectors, if I even have them? What was that? Okay, that's interesting. That could be a sim bug, but that's interesting where I look up and I lose the actual world around us. Because that could get real annoying real fast. Okay, these appear to be tanks. Not everything is... Most things are clickable, but some things are not, so... Those are our boost pumps. Okay, we'll go for engine start, and unfortunately I'm going to start both at the same time. What is that? Excuse me? Interesting engine start smoke. Okay, that's the wrong camera because I can't actually throttle up with that. What are those sounds? Okay, so I'm squirting smoke at the top from the engine start. Those sounds are horrific. I don't have another way of saying that. That does not sound very... That sounds like a Cessna. Yeah, there's no way to describe that other than a Cessna. Okay. Well, let's continue with the test flight, shall we? Zoom out a little bit here and flick this on, and we're good to go. Okay, so we're going to take off here and just test the other features of the aircraft because right now I'm not... That just blew my mind, gotta say. There we go. Okay. So aircraft ground handling is reasonable, of course. This runway might be a bit too short for what we're operating here. But our water tanks are empty, so we should be okay in that regard. I'm going to need every inch of this runway, though, to take off here in something this big. But this aircraft does have a lot of power under its hood, so... Those sounds bother me. A lot. Okay, full thrust. RPM's up. And we're releasing brakes. Looking for 85 knots to come off the ground. Which is doing very quickly, I'll give it that. Okay, so it'll lift very, very quickly. A lot of power for its size. Pulling the flaps up there. It doesn't look atrocious as an aircraft. And I will say that given the quality of the interior, I don't know where those sounds came from. Because that can't have been an intentional design decision. That's just no. Let's go pick up some water and see if this actually functions as intended. Now, I believe I have to turn on... electrical and hydraulic there. That's my probes there. Okay. Let's descend down. We'll set flaps to 15 degrees. And we'll get our altitude out of the way. And we will get ourselves ready to drop the probes. Let's take a quick look outside all of a sudden. No, everything's deployed and secreted where it should be. So watching our airspeed there, we're a bit fast, but we'll lose that as we come down and level out. Right now, trying to sink towards water level. And it's unfortunately low wind and kind of glassy today, so this is going to make our job a little bit harder. But I gotta say, I'm super disappointed. They are not radial sounds. Not in the slightest. That sounds nothing like the Wright 2800s. Or the Pratt & Whitney 2800s, sorry. Nothing at all. At all. I get that they may have just grabbed stock sounds, but there has to be something better than that. There has to be. Or even get permission to use a freeware sound pack from something else. Because there is an amazing 2800 sound pack out there. Freeware. I don't know how that couldn't have been used. Okay. Right. We are coming down. Airspeed is good where we need it. So we're going to touch down. I'm going to deploy the probes on the ground, on the water surface. Not before. Okay, we're looking good. Holding attitude, letting it sink. I've got a bit more kind of visibility of the water surface right now. A lot of water ahead of us, so we should be fine. Speed is on the numbers. Let's see if she actually behaves, because swapping out the sounds could be an easy job. But for a price tag of €30, no, I'm sorry. That's not appropriate. Now, the aircraft looks okay, but I could forgive other things if it wasn't for that. Okay, here we go. Try and keep the nose appropriate. Okay, we're on the surface. Probes are deployed. Keep the speed up here. Tanks are filling up. As we appear to be porpoising on the water surface. Because the sim does some very weird things when it comes to... Yep, we're apparently straight back in the air. Trying to keep the probes in the right position is hard. Keep the nose lowered. Okay, retract probes. Okay, we're clear. That is us lifting out the way now. Flaps coming up. Does this actually have the power and grunt that a 215 has? It definitely feels more heavy now, but we are bagging a lot of water right now, so we've gotten a lot heavier, a lot quicker. But those 2800s provide a lot of power. That's combined 4,000 horsepower. They are meaty engines. And it's the sort of aircraft that really needs that as we're climbing up here. Drop the power back. After our initial takeoff climb. Okay, so we'll get those water doors armed and we'll get ready for a drop here over the hillside. Yeah, it's not bad. It feels like this is not a terrible start to an aircraft. But it feels like the start. Nowhere near a finish. And I'm normally the person that tries to find every kind of positive in an aircraft, but I paid 30 odd euros out of my own pocket for this. Very excited because I'm a massive fan of not only radials, not only amphibians, but the CL215. And I'm actually a little upset about that because this sounds atrocious. I could almost put up with it if it wasn't that price. And these sounds are so bad. It literally sounds like two stock Cessnas strapped to my wing. Okay, let's roll her through here. We should be coming up towards Orcas Island now. We'll water bomb the airfield. How's that sound? Okay, that'll be us down ahead. Got to say, kind of disappoint. Kind of disappoint. Expected more, because Roland's last aircraft was fantastic. Well, I liked it at least. Not being a fighter expert, I quite liked the F8 that he put out. It was decent enough aeroplane for me, but this doesn't feel like that at all. Doors armed. Now I should be slowing down here, so I'm just going to S-turn. And we'll come out and round and back along the length of the runway. And we'll do a practice drop. Now obviously in the real aircraft you'd have a button on the yoke for the pilot to actually initiate the drop. For commanding that, which obviously we can't do with this. So E is a good stand-in. And we'll go third person so you can see this. Once we come around. Where's the airfield? There it is. Bit of a tight turn here, but guess what? Firefighting aircraft have to make tight turns in the valleys and canyons they're working in, so there should be no drama. Let's roll it in over the airfield and we'll do a drop. We're a bit high up as well. That's actually a thing. Okay, and stand by, and dropping. I'm pressing E. Nothing's happening when I press E. Okay, that's a slight thing. Where's the command drop? I gave it the command, which is E. It told me to press E. Oh. Cabin alert. Wait, what? Program joystick button with key cabin alert, no smoking. Oh, okay. That seems weird. So what's the no smoking up there? Does that suddenly drop my water? We'll come about here. Power on. Lots of power on. Bit of a tight turn for the aircraft, but we'll see what it can do. I'll hit the button and I'll go straight outside. Okay, power back off again. Second attempt at a drop here, then we'll call this a wrap. I want to see if it even manages that remotely well. I'm not sure how much I want to map a button on my joystick for dropping for the cabin smoke effects. Or no smoking. I'm sorry if the risk review seems like it got a little soured, but I just feel a little disappointed, to be honest. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's the stock effect, which Roland did say is because the current sim version has a bug with that sort of thing. Power on. Flaps retracted. Disarm doors. And we've emptied our tanks there. This had so much potential. It really did. But the sounds kill it for me. Like, I could put up with the rest if it wasn't for the sounds. Like, if the sounds were slightly better or even sounded like a radial, I could put up with it being a little bit less, should we say, detailed in terms of the exterior and interior model. I could forgive the textures a little bit, being, they're okay. But not those sounds. No, not even slightly. Well, folks, there you go. That is my review on the CL215, a first look review at least, not a detailed review, but you can make your own decisions from this. My decision is that I probably won't fly this again. But there you go. Thanks for watching, folks. Bye.